Hi there and welcome back. So in this lecture, we are going to execute our first line of JavaScript. Write and execute our first line of JavaScript. So as a reminder, JavaScript has many benefits and advantages over other languages. One of the benefits that I like the most, specifically um, for this class, is that it runs in a browser. JavaScript is really the language of the web because it runs in a browser natively, which means that about 5 billion devices right now, desktop computers, laptops, smartphones, tablets, what have you, they come with browsers pre-installed, and as a consequence, they all are able to execute JavaScript right from the get-go. That's pretty handy. Usually, that JavaScript code is embedded in HTML. So what is HTML? Let me write this here. HTML, which stands for Hypertext Markup Language. Now, HTML is sort of the basis of almost anything on the web. Most of the documents that you browse when you browse the web are HTML documents. And let's take a look at this in the real world. So I have the Google homepage loaded here in the browser, and let's say you click on any link. Let's say you click on the About link down here. And so what just happened is that a new page got loaded and rendered in the browser. So actually what happened is that your browser made a request for this particular document that lives at this address here. And so some machine somewhere on the internet, which we call a server, delivered that document to you, or rather to your browser. And after receiving that document, your browser renders this document visually according to the HTML code in that document. And we can take a look at that raw source by just going to here in Chrome, View, Developer, View Source. And you have this functionality in all browsers. It might just be in a different menu. But in Chrome, it's here. And so if we click this, we can see the HTML source code behind this document. So here in the first line, you can see that this is HTML. This is the definition of HTML, and the line that indicates that this is an HTML document. And then you see all these tags here, which are very typical for HTML. And you see these brackets, and then you see the slash tags, which is just to indicate that this tag is closing. So tags can contain information such as just text or other tags, and it's very typical to see, tags being deeply nested within other tags. And if you look at this document, you'll see, lots and lots of HTML tags here. And finally, at the bottom here, this looks a little different, and this looks different because it's actually JavaScript code. Now, don't worry, this is pretty terse JavaScript code. It's hard to read, it looks very complicated, but in fact it is quite simple, and the code that we are going to write is going to be much more clean. I think this was compressed here to use up less bandwidth, but we don't have these kinds of constraints. We're just going to write very easy to read, very clean JavaScript code. In fact, there's some JavaScript code up here as well. This is just one line of code, and here's another line of code. And so the point is that JavaScript code is embedded within HTML documents. And if you load an HTML document in the browser and the browser realizes there's some JavaScript code within that HTML, then the browser will execute that JavaScript code. All right, so let's go ahead and write our own HTML document. So open any text editor of your choice. So I'm on a Mac here, and I'm using a text editor called Text Wrangler. I really like it. It's a free text editor, and it comes with a lot of really neat features, but it's not too bloated or complicated to use. It's just a very nice text editor, but you can really use any text editor that you want to. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and just write my first HTML document. So like that Google HTML document, I'm going to use this line here, doc type HTML, to indicate to the browser or to anyone looking at that document that this is an HTML document. Now, typically the root tag of any HTML document is the HTML tag. And I'm going to open the tag here, and then I'm going to close it right away with this slash here. Now, this tag will now contain all the other tags. And it's very common to structure an HTML document as a separation of a head and a body. So I'm going to open and close these tags right away. I'm also going to indent them. That's just to make things a little easier to read. You could do with or without indentation. I suggest you use it because it makes it much easier to read the document later on. Okay, so the head usually contains information about the document, such as the title of the document, who wrote the document, keywords of the document, things like that. And there's also often quite a bit of JavaScript in the head tag. The body tag, on the other hand, typically contains the type of information that should be rendered visually in the browser. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to write here, hello world. So now I'm going to save the document, save. And I'm going to go ahead and create a new folder here that I'm going to call code_examples. But you can really save your documents wherever you want to. And then within the code examples, I'm actually going to create yet another folder that I'm going to call chapter 2. All right, and then the document, I'm going to call it, let's see, how about my_first_document .html. All right, looking good. Let me save it. And so as I save it, the text editor here realizes, oh, it's an HTML document, and color codes things accordingly. That can be quite handy. It's a nice feature of a good text editor, this syntax highlighting, as it's called. All right, I got this HTML document here. Let me go ahead and load it in the browser. So let's go over to Google Chrome or any browser you prefer, and let me open the document here. File, open file. So let's find the document. Here it is, my first document. Open. Here it is. Boom. It says hello world. Everything seems to work great. And actually, we could now take a look at the source code. View developer, view source, just to double check. Yes, that is indeed the code that we wrote. And Chrome is just coloring the tags here a little differently, but that's fine. All right, so first HTML document written and loaded in the browser. Everything seems to be working fine. So now let's go ahead and create our first line of JavaScript. So as I said, JavaScript is usually embedded within HTML. We're just going to embed it here in the head tag, but you can embed it wherever you want to in this example. The important point is that your JavaScript code has to be embedded in a script tag. So open a script tag, close it right away, and now everything here within the script tag should be JavaScript code. And the code that I'm going to write is the following: console log, and then I'm going to write in parentheses and in these quotes, hello from JavaScript. And I'm going to end this line with a semicolon. And don't worry about this code. We're going to learn what this code means and how it's written in future lectures. But go ahead and save the document. So you can just go here and say File, Save. In the future, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to use the keyboard shortcut. But don't forget to save the document when you make changes, and then when you go back to the browser and reload the document. Because if you don't save it, you can reload the document as often as you want to. It won't change anything because the browser is just loading the old document, not the new one. So always be sure when you make changes to save them. All right, so you can reload the document by clicking here on this reload button, or in fact in the menu there's a reload this page entry here. If you want to, that does the same thing. Again, I'm mostly going to go ahead and just use the keyboard shortcut, so you won't see that. I'm just going to reload the document, and I'm going to say let's reload the document. In any case, we have now reloaded the document multiple times. So what has changed? Nothing seems to have changed. Well, if you look at the source code, actually, let's go over here just to verify that this is really the new document here. View developer view source. So yes, we have this new document here with the script tag and the console log file. So why isn't it showing anything? Well, what we're doing here is actually we're writing this string here, hello from JavaScript, into the console. The issue is that we're not seeing the console here, so we have to bring up the console first. And in Chrome, you do this by saying view developer JavaScript console. Okay, so let's click on that. And lo and behold, here's the console, and here's our text, hello from JavaScript. If you use another browser, I just want to show you real quick how you do this in another browser. In Safari, let's open the document here as well. So let's go ahead, File, Open File, Code Examples, Chapter 2, my first document, Open. So here's the Hello World. Now, where's the JavaScript console in Safari? Well, if you just have a default installation of your Safari browser, which I assume you have, you first need to go to the Preferences here, then click the Advanced tab over here and say Show Develop Menu in Menu Bar. Okay, so make sure this is active. And now you actually have this Develop menu up here. And now you can say Show Error Console. For some reason, Safari decided to call this Error Console. So let's click on that. And here's your Error Console. Okay, so let's, I think we need to reload the document here in Safari just to be sure. Yes, here it is, hello from JavaScript. You can have this as a standalone window, or you can have it here on the right-hand side, where I prefer it. But in any case, here's your hello from JavaScript. So that works. And so finally, let's go over to Firefox. Let's open the document, File, Open File, Code Examples, Chapter 2, my first document. Here it is. Now in Firefox, the JavaScript console is under Tools, and then Web Developer, and then Web Console. So once again, they call it differently, Web Console here. And here it is, hello from JavaScript, and here's some message from Mozilla about the character encoding. You can ignore that, but this is essentially your JavaScript console here. All right, so hey, congratulations, you just created your first HTML document. Assuming you've never done this before, you've written your first line of JavaScript, and you've loaded the document in 3 browsers, or at least 1 browser, and everything seems to be working great. So that's great. Congratulations. Just one more thing, the console is actually pretty handy, because it is indeed not just great for just printing stuff, which will come in really handy down the line, but you can actually execute code right here. So you could say here 2 + 2 and then hit enter, and it will execute your code. That can be quite handy at times when you want to test something and say, I wonder how this works, what this code would do, rather than writing the code in the document, saving it, loading the HTML document in the browser and see what it does, you could just type it here in the console. And I will occasionally do this. And this works in all the browsers. So same here over here in Chrome. If I would just write 2 + 3, hit enter, it would be 5. All right, so that's it for this lecture. You've created your first line of JavaScript and things seem to be working great. So let's move on to the next lecture, where we will now implement what we've learned in the previous lectures about Hardy Weinberg into JavaScript. I'll see you in the next lecture.